Okay, 3.2, probability and odds. So good news is this, I don't think this will be very long. It's actually literally like the same stuff we were doing before. It's almost like more practice from what we were doing in the last one. So let's get into it. So it says Bailey holds all the spades from a standard deck of cards. He asked Morgan to pick any card. So it says determine the odds in favor of Morgan choosing a face card. So you guys remember the difference between odds and probability? It's the main thing here. So odds is going to be favorable over unfavorable. And probability was favorable over total. So this whole lesson and really the last one is about like making sure we can figure out the difference between these two things. So yeah, it'll help just to do some examples here. So it says, yeah, determine the odds in favor of Morgan choosing a face card. All right, so odds. So what we're after is favorable. And in this case, favorable is going to be the face cards, right? So we got to figure out, okay, how many face cards do we have? So face cards would be, you know, 1, 2, we got 3 face cards going on there, right? So that's going to be 3 face cards. So it'll be 3 and then dot, dot. And technically, this odds can be written that way, but technically it should be actually, I should have wrote it like this. It should be favorable, dot, dot, unfavorable. Like it should have been more like that. So 3 and then dot, dot. So my unfavorable now would just be everything else. It's like the complement of it, like we did before, right? So everything else, after we've used 3, there would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 left. So 3 to 10. Muted myself. All right. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. So now you guys were good at this last time. Determine the odds against Morgan drawing a face card. Oh, sorry, I got people coming in. No. Okay, so the odds against here would really just be the other way, right? How's it going? Would really just be the other way. So if this was 3 was my favorable and 10 was my unfavorable, this isn't too bad, right? This is just going to be 10 to 3 would be my favorable. Just switch the two. Okay, determine the odds against Morgan drawing a card 5 or less. So these ones can be a little bit confusing because it says determine the odds against. What I'd recommend just to avoid just confusing yourself in these ones, let's figure out the odds for and then just flip it, right? So we'll say, okay, what are the odds for Morgan drawing a card 5 or less? So let's figure out how many cards 5 or less do we have. So we'll count. Oh, my pen's not erasing. Weird. Okay. Anyway, kind of freezing here, guys. Sorry. It's still working. All right. I think I can still draw, but I can't erase. Weird. Okay. So odds for drawing cards 5 or less. So how many cards 5 or less do we have? And we'll call ace 1. So it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that would be 5. No, I'm not drawing. Man, it's working well all day. Oh, there we go.
As soon as I got on.
Yeah, for sure. So 5 is how many I have, and then everything else. So how many do I have? What do I have left after I've chosen 5? So you'd have. So we've chosen 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then what we have left is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You got 8 left, right? 5 to 8, which makes sense. It has to add up to 13. So that'd be 5 to 8. But then just make sure that we remember we were saying what are the odds against. So that's not too bad. Let's just flip it around. So that would be 8 to 5.
Are we teaching gambling today?
We are.
It's not a good thing. You can go broke quick.
1. Okay. So next one. The probability of an expectant mother selected at random of being pregnant with twins is 1 in 32. So first off, that was probability, right? So let's just make sure we know what we're looking at here. So this was saying 1 over 32. That would have been my, well, I don't know if you'd call having twins being favorable, but I'll call it favorable over total. Right, so that we're looking at a probability there, right? Favorable over total, right? So now they're asking us, they're saying, okay, what are the odds of a mother being pregnant with twins? So they gave us the probability and they want the odds. So favorable is still favorable. So we'll say the odds here will be 1 and then dot dot. And then the big question is, what will that side of it be? What will my unfavorable be? Will it be 32? Okay, I like that. I saw some head shaking. No, it'll be 31, right? That's unfavorable because I've already chosen one, so it's everything else. Oh, I got a chat there. Oh, yeah, good. Thanks, Pedro. So now it says, what are the odds against an expected mother having twins? All right, so this one's easy. So this was 4, right? This was the odds for having twins. So against, well, that's just going to be the other way around. So that'd be 31 to 1, right? Not too bad yet, right? Okay. I got people keep coming in. That's one problem that I'm going to have with Zoom here, I think. There, I think she's in. Okay. Okay, so suppose the probability of an event happening is 2 over 5. What's the probability of the event not happening? So just careful now. So they gave us probability, and now they say what's the probability of the event not happening, right? So what we'll probably want to do here is figure out what the, well, if 2 out of the 5, right, was my favorable over total, then you could probably look at this one, I think, and say, okay, how many would I have left, right? You've got 3 more left. So that would be the other part of it. It'd just be 3 over 5. Another way of looking at that, to begin with, 2 over 5, well, that would be the same thing as 4 over 10. That would be 40% probability. And everything you have left here, right, this 3 over 5, well, that'd be the same thing as 6 over 10. That would be 60% probability. So 40% for and 60% for the thing not happening. So it would always have to add up to 100%, right? All right. What are the odds of the event happening? Okay, so make sure we just got this right. So this was probability of the event happening was 2 over 5. Okay, so that was favorable over total. So our favorable is still 2. But now I need my unfavorable. So what's that going to be? So maybe you can even give me a hand. Like it's going to fit. It should be on one hand that you can figure this out. Yeah, good job. Okay, so 2 to 3. All right, what are the odds of the event not happening? Okay, well, that's easy. Now that we have this one, other way around, 3 to 2. All right, so you have answered the contest 250 times, and the computer says your odds of winning are 1 in 9. How many entries are in the contest, and then what's your probability of winning? All right, so it says your, first off, we can say, so we've got our odds of winning. Here, let's write that down. Our odds of winning would be 1 in 9. So it's probably going to be a little easier actually to figure out the probability of winning first. We'll do this a little backwards. So probability of winning this now. Well, this was my favorable, and this was just my unfavorable. So if I'm saying the probability of this now, well, that's going to be still just 1 over, but then it's going to be 1 over 10. So that'd be my probability, 1 over 10, right? Because that's going to be the total. As your favorable and your unfavorable together will give you your probability. And OneNote just crashed, so give me a second here.
Jalen, get your hand off your face.
You guys see my screen again?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Okay, so probability is going to be 1 over 10, which would be the same thing as 0.1, which would be the same thing as 10%, right? Those would all mean the same thing, right? It's fine either way. You can write it any way you like. A lot of times we like it as a percentage. But now the next part of this question said, how many entries are in the contest, right? So I think a good way to set this up is with a ratio. So we can say, all right, so if you've got one chance as your favorable out of 10 total, then what I can do, just a little cross multiplication here, is I can say, okay, well, if it says that you have been entered in a contest 250 times, okay, so that's going to be what you entered, right? That's like your favorable over, and then we just want to see how many people actually enrolled in it, or actually were in this, right? So we can just set this ratio and just solve for x here, right? So we can do a little algebra, or we can do cross multiplication. So do you guys remember? It's probably a good time just to, like, we do a ton of algebra, and that's the way we should do it. But just as like an everyday life thing, do you guys remember this? I haven't even shown this in a long time because it's more of like a real world kind of like in a second type of thing. But you would start with this one. You go 250 times 10 divided by 1 would give you x. Have you guys ever seen that cross multiplication? Yeah, Mr. Lush is nodding his head. We would actually just do the algebra, but let's just do it that way for simplicity. So in the end here, what would you get? Well, just 250 plus another 0, right? So you'd end up getting x is equal to 2,500. Can you guys give me a thumbs up or something like that if everything here is making sense? Okay. All right, cool. All right, suppose the odds in favor of an event are 5 to 3. Is the probability that the event will happen greater or less than 50%? You could probably see from that what the answer is, but what we should do is actually just write this out as a probability so we can kind of see to make sure. So 5 to 3, well, that would be the same thing. That would be a probability of 5 over, what would that be over? 5 over, you'll need 2 hands to show me this one if you show me with your hands. 5 over 8, yep. The total. So that's it, 5 over 8. Well, yeah, I can see from that 5 over 8. You could put that in your calculator. You shouldn't have to because 4 over 8 is 50%. So 5 over 8 is above 50%. So 5 over 8 is greater than 50%. All right. Hockey game is tied after overtime and is going into a shootout. The coach wants to decide who to use in the shootout. Show that Ellen is the better shootout scorer using both odds and probabilities. Why might the coach choose Brittany over Ellen? I got to take that off of there. I'm not sure why they ever would. Let's just take that out. All right. So we've got Ellen. She has 13 attempts and she scores 8 goals, right? So in this case, our 8 is going to be our favorable, and our attempts is going to be our total, right? Your total shots is how many shots you took in total, and then how many actually went in, right? So probability-wise here, let's say we can say that Ellen had 8 shots over 13 attempts. So her probability would have been 8 over 13. Her odds would have been 8 to what? Yeah, 8 to 5, right? So 8 to 5 or odds, 8 over 13 probability. And then we got Brittany. She has 10 over 17. So 10 over 17 probability, which would make that 10 to 7 odds. So with the probabilities here, though, like it's kind of hard to tell. You're looking at it, you're like, well, I think I know, but I'm not too sure. And glitching out again, just one sec. 8 over 13 ends up, if you actually just go 8 divided by 13, you would get 0.62, right? Which would be the same thing as, so 0.62 times 100, that would be the same thing as 62%. For Brittany, for her probability there, we'd end up getting 59%. So I can see that Ellen actually is better just based on her probability. All right. Now, you're at a carnival. You have a choice of playing BIM, odds against winning are 5 to 2, or Zap, which odds against winning are 7 to 3. Which game has the better odds? All right, so first thing I think I'd do here, just to make sure we don't make a mistake, is it says odds against winning are 5 to 2. I think I just rewrite, just to think about it properly, I'd rather write that as 2 to 5, just to say, okay, what's my odds of winning? I think people think a lot clearer in like odds of winning and not odds of losing. So let's just rearrange that for a second and say, okay, my odds for BIM of winning will be 2 to 5. So 2 to 5, right? So if I'm figuring out my probability, because it's going to be a lot better if we change it to probability, so we can actually put a number to it to figure out which one exactly is better probability. So 2 to 5, so that'd be the same thing as 2 over 7 probability, which is 29%. So 29% chance for BIM. And then Zap would be 3 to 7 odds, which would make that 3 over 10 probability, which would make that 30% chance of winning, right? We changed this to winning. So which one's better? Zap. Zap is better probability. All right. Can you guys try this one? It's pretty much the same question. So I'll let you guys try this one for a second. I'll turn the video off. So give this one a go, and then that'll be the last question.